OAuth talk. Tom Brown develops user-centric identity software with Ruby, contributes to the Open Transact protocol, participates in the Internet Identity Workshop. He's contributed code for federated and delegated identity to several open source projects, as here's Tom with the weather on GitHub. Prior, Tom developed network and security code for companies including Be Extreme, Microsoft, Yodlee, Full Security, and Biometric Access. Tom.
Okay, good afternoon. I hope everyone had a good lunch, and I hope everybody's in the right room. I'm excited that so many people showed up because it's kind of like the wild card session, I think. I'm not a security expert or wily hacker or anything. I'm just a Ruby developer who participates in identity workshops that are twice a year in Mountain View, and we talk about user-centric identity, which is instead of letting companies dictate what the terms are with identity systems, we focus on user rights and letting the user keep control of the data and things like that. So if there's identity work that isn't aimed for that kind of goal, then it doesn't fit in at Identity Workshop. So let's get started. I'm Tom. Here's Tom with the weather. It's my kind of moniker. And kind of quick run through of what I'll be talking about today. Going to kind of start out with the motivation. Okay, I'll speak a little bit softer, or maybe actually I'll bring this down a bit. There we go. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. The first thing we'll do is just talk about the motivations. Why do we want to redo payments on the web? And then to kick us off, I'll do a quick code sample just to show how easy it is to make a web payment using OAuth today in dollars. So I'll actually be moving my money from a big bank into my local credit union using OAuth. And then we'll take a step back and look at OAuth 1 versus OAuth 2. We'll talk about an emerging protocol called Open Transact, which we did our first draft at the Identity Workshop last week. And then its relationship to OpenID Connect. Open Transact doesn't require OpenID Connect, but OpenID Connect is a very good fit for it as an extension. And then talk about kind of future things that we're working on or would like to work on. Okay, the motivation was articulated really well in a book called Beautiful Security. There's a chapter by Ed Bellis called Rethinking E-commerce, and he said, you know, the way we do payments on the web today is totally insane. Why are we using these shared secret credit card numbers? They're so vulnerable because, you know, in the lifetime of a credit card number, it passes through 1,000 people's hands, and you know, we have no idea who's got your credit card number. And you know, every day you have a conversation with somebody who had to, you know, they got an email from their bank saying, oh, we have suspicious activity on your account, and it's kind of a real pain. And a lot of my favorite restaurants only take cash because it's for compliance. They don't want to go through all the hassle of credit cards and stuff, and so credit cards are a real pain in the butt. So shared secrets are bad, and the people who are trying to do business get the raw end of the deal because the banking darknet imposes unnecessary responsibilities on them that they don't really need to do. So one kind of bright spot of hope, and I'm not affiliated with Dwala in any way, although they're the first ones that I saw that support OAuth for payments. My understanding is that they do like $1 million of transactions a day. They're very new and growing. I think half of their transfers are Bitcoin exchanges, so for as far as their volume. In OAuth, we have kind of like this mantra that's emerged somehow to like make it simpler to digest for newcomers, which is there's 2 steps that we talk about. Getting a token, which is the authorization process, and then using a token. And in the slide presentation, it's very heavily linkified, so all these blue texts you can link to, and these particular ones are links to Dwala documentation. So when you, actually, before I do the Dwala thing, just kind of like a raise of hands, is there anyone who has no idea what OAuth is and would like me to just go through an example? Okay, so that's, I'll do this just to get our settings here. Twitter was the company that gave OAuth the credibility it has with OAuth version 1 because they deployed it in 2009 and for third-party applications to do kind of this authentication kind of thing, but lets them use the Twitter API. And so, for instance, as you can see here, I've used other web applications that have asked me for my Twitter stuff. So these are all the applications that I've trusted. And at any time, I can revoke the token that Twitter gave them when I ask for it. So one of my favorite is the Earthquake command line client for Twitter. It's a Ruby gem, and so like here it is right here. Let me see if I can. So that's the beauty of OAuth, is that it lets these ecosystems emerge where if the main website, the Twitter website, isn't solving a problem, then another third-party application can do stuff like threaded conversations, or in this case, if somebody gets chatty and I don't want to hear from them anymore, I can just say Marcus exclude, Charlie Sheen, and I'll no longer get tweets from Charlie Sheen. So that's the beautiful thing about OAuth, is all this new innovation that occurs around a website. So back to the web. Oh, there's my presentation. Okay. So similarly, Dwala has this authorization, get a token step that you go through, and there's this notion of scopes in OAuth, and I think it's an unfortunately named term. A better term would be capabilities, because scopes kind of makes you think of only like read-only access. Am I accessing Google, YouTube versus Google Calendar, that kind of thing. I think capability is a better term than scope, and especially in banking, because you're doing active stuff, like you're making a payment. So when Dwala or any other banking OAuth application asks for permissions, or to get a token, and this would be a third-party application using Dwala. So this is a third-party application asking Dwala for these, I'll call them capabilities instead of scopes. And you can see the last one there is send money. And so when it asks for the token, it specifies exactly what scopes or capabilities it is. So I've already acquired a token with a send money scope for Dwala, and so now what I'm going to do is run a little Ruby program to make a payment to show that it works. This sample code is in that GitHub link I had at the front. This presentation is at labscon-oauth.roku.com, and that link to the GitHub where you can find this sample code. Okay, and it's Dwala, so I'll just go. Actually, you know what? Okay, how's that? Hey, That, oh. 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 Let me see.
I was saying, you just maybe try breaking it over the laptop screen and just copy close it in rather than around.
Oh, okay. That sounds like a good idea. How's that? I'll just talk loud. Okay. So anyway, I think, okay, so these are the steps, just to document them, that I'm going to do. I'm going to fetch the Ruby program. This, the first step is get a token. This is the token I got, and I'm going to make it an environment variable so that it's not in the code. And then also, you need to use a pin.
Yeah, just turn it off. We can use this fine.
Okay. That's a good idea.